Let's talk about our relationship with silence. Not just the lack of noise, but that emotional silence, the space between messages, the quiet in our connections. For a lot of us, how we feel about that silence can totally transform over time.
Oh man, do you remember this? That heavy feeling right in your gut when the conversation just drops off? It's a feeling almost everyone knows, that weight of everything left unsaid.
And these were the triggers, right? You'd see your message was read, but there's no reply, and your mind would just go into overdrive, spinning out a million different worst-case scenarios. You'd feel that space growing between you, and the first impulse was always to chase, to fix it, to explain yourself, to do anything to fill that silence and get some kind of reassurance back.
But what if you've noticed that's changed? What if those same quiet moments don't send you into a spiral anymore? That's really the big question we're diving into today. What actually happens inside of us that completely flips the script on how we react to silence?
So, to really understand where you are now, we have to take a look back to when every bit of quiet felt like something to be afraid of.
Look at this comparison because it maps out the whole journey so perfectly. Back then, on the left, silence pretty much equaled rejection. It felt like you were being abandoned, and that triggered a real physical feeling of threat and panic. But now, look at the right side. That exact same silence can be seen as space, as peace, even as a sign of control and safety. It's the same external event, but a completely different internal world.
So what was going on to cause that old panic? Because it wasn't just you overthinking. It was a really deep psychological and even neurological reaction. A huge piece of this puzzle is what's known as anxious attachment. Basically, if this was your style, your whole sense of safety was wired to getting constant feedback and reassurance from other people. So of course, when that feedback went silent, it didn't just feel lonely. It felt like a genuine threat to your entire sense of security.
And here's the neuroscience, which is so cool. Your amygdala, which is kind of like your brain's alarm system, was basically stuck on high alert. It was trained to see silence as a fire alarm, kicking off that fight-or-flight response and making you jump to the absolute worst conclusion, even when there was no real danger at all.
Okay, now for the big turning point. This is where the real transformation begins, when we shift our source of security from out there to in here.
This is it. This is the whole game changer. The massive shift happens when you no longer need that instant text back to know you're okay. Your value isn't tied to how quickly someone replies. You start to realize that your sense of safety is your job, and you can build it yourself from the inside out.
And the main tool for this is something called emotional regulation. It's the ability to feel that first little sting of anxiety when the silence hits, and instead of immediately reacting, you just pause. You learn to actually sit with that uncomfortable feeling for a second without letting it take over. You can just observe it instead of becoming it.
So what does this new internal strength actually look like in day-to-day life? Well, it completely redefines how you show up in your relationships.
The proof is really in what you stop doing. You stop sending that second just checking in text because you need a response to calm your nerves. You stop writing out long paragraphs trying to prove your worth to someone. And maybe most importantly, you stop chasing people who are always hot and cold because you realize your own peace is just too valuable to gamble with.
This is when you learn one of the most powerful lessons of all. Silence isn't just an empty space. It's actually a form of communication. It's telling you something really, really important if you're just willing to listen to it.
And that brings us to the final and I think the most freeing part of all of us. This is where silence goes from being an enemy to being an ally.
See, instead of filling the quiet with your own fears, you start to see it as pure information. Silence shows you who values you enough to communicate. It reveals who is genuinely present and who just shows up when it's easy for them. You stop guessing and you start seeing what's really there, or in some cases, what isn't.
And that's the core of it all, isn't it? Real peace in a relationship isn't about constant chatter and validation. It's about emotional safety. It's knowing that the connection is solid, even when things are quiet.
So if this is resonating with you, if you've felt that shift inside yourself from panic to peace, just take a moment and acknowledge that. That's not an accident. That's a direct sign of your own hard work and emotional growth.
Because ultimately, when silence stops being something to fear, it means you finally found a home in yourself. You're not being controlled by someone else's absence anymore. You are grounded, solid, and secure in your own presence.